Hello, my friends. Yes, I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you today. First of all, the in my meditation last night, I had a whole sense of that we usually do our loop of awareness this way. And so today, the direction of our loop of awareness. And so today, I wanted to experiment with a couple of other directions. But what I wanted to share with you is that we think of attention as different from presence. And it was occurring to me today that the way that we use our whole body attention is really what creates presence. And presence is what allows us to actually bring ourselves into the moment so that we can get the nourishment of connection. So if I'm narrowing my attention, I'm also narrowing my ability to actually fill my reservoir. And humans fill their reservoir primarily through connection. And so that's why we go crazy, as society, and went crazy during COVID because we didn't have that source of connection, which really sustains people's aliveness. Because we think about parties as being we're gonna catch up with people, but what we're really doing is this amoeba move, that I think all mammals make, is that we vibrate together and then we go, okay, that's finished, and then we unthwack ourselves and we go over and we vibrate with somebody else, and if you've had a really good resonance, you've had good vibes, yeah, good vibes, then you get that sense of and the experience of connection. So I wanted us to really see that, and experience that the loop of awareness is in order for you to be able to choose how and where and when and how much you're directing your attention. Because I think of awareness as being the big reservoir. And then the way that we draw from that reservoir and aim our attention is what allows us to orient ourselves, locate ourselves in the present, uh, be real, but particularly to choose where and how we're receiving nourishment. And so when I talk about attention skills, I'm really talking about directing your presence, and using this as a whole body experience, because it's really clear to me, and you may experience this also when you're working with others or just being around others, is that most people are only present up here. And so if you're presencing from your whole body, you're really creating a possibility for everybody around you to drop into that whole body presence. And so you get to benefit, but you get to benefit everybody wherever you show up. And to me, that's just, people go, wow, I don't know why, but I just feel so much better now after I had those few minutes with you. And for me, it's the embodiment of the practice that many of us have been doing for years. And what was coming to me was that I wanted to have a couple of different loops, one that goes this way and is really about using your attention as a love scoop. So I want to invite you to imagine your attention going out and hugging. Like you might just start with something, in your vicinity. Like I have a plant over here. So I'm going to let my attention go out and hug this plant and then come back to me and hug me. And then I'm going to send my attention out. I have a wonderful print across the way here. It's about learning to love yourself. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to hug that. And I'm actually going to bring the energy of that hug back into me and place it wherever it's wanted. So let yourself do a few out there hugs. And I like also the verb of welcoming. So your loop, your love scoop is really a welcoming and an including. And so also I was just thinking about there's behind you and to the sides of you. So letting your loop go behind you. And I do that energetically, but I also let my body open up to receiving from the back, because for most people the area between your shoulder blades is the most unconscious area in your body. And I've had people, I mostly have experienced this at airports where I haven't been for a long time, but I'm planning to be in one tomorrow. And people will just stop in the middle of their, they'll be walking along and they'll just stop. And there's like a pile up. There's this people run into because there's no awareness in back. So your loop of awareness, letting yourself kind of hug yourself from the back. What would that feel like to give yourself a hug from the back of you, like someone comes up and kind of spoons you, a standing spoon? And then notice if you can let that attention be absorbed. So, what do you do to let yourself receive that attention? So, for me, breathing, I notice if I've been holding my breath, because most of us actually get a little scared when attention is coming at us, and our breath kind of goes, oh, me, oh, could, oh. And so letting your breathing open, letting your body open to receive. So adding in that hugging, and think of somebody that is not present here and maybe even living in some other place, or may not even be here anymore. I'd like you to let yourself give them a hug of your awareness, sending that out and letting that being with occur inside you and between you and this other person. And I've experienced doing this. I'll get a text from somebody and they'll go, "Oh, you were just thinking of me, weren't you?" And it's a very powerful, wonderful way that we can share love with our friends, and also send love to areas where we would like to make a change in what's going on. So the other one that was occurring to me is letting yourself have a loop that goes down into the earth and up into the air and then around. So like you're on a big Ferris wheel of attention that comes down through the earth, where you get to be in your roots and in the earth's roots, and then comes up and over and around this way for you. So let yourself experiment with letting your attention go down into the earth and experiencing that amazing source of grounding, and then up to experience all of this space over your head, which we hardly ever. In one of my poems, I have something, "Do you ever look up?" And basically we have um, there's a little post-it in our kitchen that Gay created as a part of a birthday thing for me years and years and years ago. And it had little post-its that would come in. And then there was one that said, "Look up." And then they're on the ceiling. We have a post-it on the ceiling. And I just want you to know that only 2 or 3 people in the last 20 years have noticed the post-it on the ceiling. So looking up and also letting ourselves presence ourselves deeply is something that we generally don't do with our attention. And so I wanted to invite you to let that, what all of those invisible roots that support us and bring energy to what's appearing that we can see. So giving nourishment to what's rooting in you that may not be visible yet, but is giving you nourishment, and then letting that really circulate in this kind of how high and how deep can I go, as well as how wide. We generally focus on how wide, but I love the how deep and how high, because you may want to come in. Sometimes when I'm with someone and I can see they're a little bit edgy, I let my attention come in, just I just let it kind of come in and just kind of tickle them rather than a full frontal attention is very threatening for a lot of people. It's like, "Oh my God, it's too much for me." But we can be sharing our loving ourselves as we're moving around in the world. And Stephen, I love the way you're letting your whole body participate with that. Yay. I'm going to just take that on in my own body. So adding your during the holiday season, you're going to have lots of challenges to your attention. And so simply circulating your attention so that you're not getting stuck in the, oh my God, or oh, that when you simply shift your attention, it's going to allow you to presence yourself so that you're able to meet life as it's occurring. So those were the things that were occurring to me this morning with our loop of awareness. And then I'd love to have you show the picture for today from our integrity card. And what I love about this, this is so cool. So what we get on this, the first thing I saw is up high and depth. So part of it is, I just love that, how the themes, how our consciousness creates these kinds of themes. So this is a great one for you to do your Ferris wheel circling of your attention, because you've got diving and you've got elevating and flying going on in here. So notice what it's like to send your attention, and then where does that want to land in you? And I'd like you to let yourself keep doing that Ferris wheel circulating. And let me just read to you from this particular card. Ooh, this is a lovely one. I explore the meaning of my inner experiences with curiosity and interest. I explore the meaning of my inner experiences with curiosity and interest. So I was just wondering what's behind that open door at the back. I was letting my attention go back into there. And then wondering, where are those feet? What's the other part? What are they reaching for? So I love Jung has talked about the personality is like a house, and it has many rooms and levels. And so I love that incorporation here, all of the different dimensions of this card. And then, the kind of surrealistic, having a whale diving through the floor. So here's the question. How can I explore the meaning of my inner experiences with curiosity and interest? So curiosity and interest, those are such keys to our receiving nourishment and getting filling our reservoir with the nourishment of connection. So shifting with curiosity, and if that is a problem for you, it's for most of us, we have a lot of negative thoughts and criticisms. So if you want to add something, the quickest way to shift when you're doing your loop of awareness is to add the as you're letting your attention circulate, and it shifts you immediately from your critical brain to your curious brain. So that's a great way to jumpstart your curiosity. And this is in the section emotional literacy. So exploring, we can come on back to the big group now. Exploring and being curious, I realize is one of the foundational. It's like a prime mover for a life that really works. So generating curiosity is something that we can do. We don't have to wait for it to land on us. It's like I'm waiting for somebody to make me curious. So, but you can generate curiosity, which then leads to learning something, which leads to discovering, which leads to having your life be about connecting and discovering rather than controlling and figuring out who has the power over. And for me, it's been so much juicier to open to, what can I discover here? And that experience of discovering for me has created just deeper and deeper levels of aliveness and the direct experience of vitality right now, in this moment, rather than when I do this or when I arrive or when I've solved this problem. And by generating curiosity, just in the moment. In fact, think about something that's been sort of an for you, or you've been caught on something, it's been an issue, or it's a recurring recycling something. And I'd like you to first get really judgmental about it, or, criticizing yourself for not solving it, or criticizing the other people who are involved because they haven't done their part yet. So, and just notice what the experience of that is like in your body. And then I'd like you to let yourself circulate your attention with a And I'd like you to put your issue or your item out there, and I'd like you to circulate your attention over to it with a and kind of move around it in a different way. You might do a roundabout hug, or you might do a Ferris wheel while you're going, what's here for me to discover? How could I look at this in a different way? And then just notice, take a moment to notice if that's opened up more aliveness for you. Because we think the point is solving it, and the real point is more aliveness. So more aliveness generates discovery, and will generate discovery over and over and over again. But when you land on something like, I did it, you get that moment of being right, but that's it. You have that little, peak of adrenaline, but the really allows you to move out. For me, it's allowed me to move also out of fear. Even when something, something around the house, or, something spills or something. So instead of going, I am able to open up this sense of curiosity. So from my own experience, I can tell you that your practicing actually works, that it will create you as a kind of a little curiosity beacon. And where you show up, people are going to start to get more curious, but will also be more open to connecting and giving and receiving the nourishment of really being curious about each other, receiving each other's attention. So let yourself for a moment just be looking at different people who are on the call and going, just like humming you. I'm humming you. And how are you humming you? And then I'm humming me. And just noticing what happens between. And then, of course, when you're out in public, you can do that more subtly, but you don't have to do that here. Because I found that each interaction, if I'm in curiosity, creates nourishment and discovery and more aliveness. So those are those items. And then I want to look at our PCP for today, our Presence Connect play. I really, PCP used to be one of those things that people had need to be taken to the hospital for. So I'm substituting Presence Connect play, but I like to call it PCP instead. Presence Connect play, present every time. So for presence, this is a great one. This one is backed by science. So the instruction is take 3 breaths and change your physical position. So the invitation is to take 3 relaxed breaths. And I love to connect my in-breath to the out-breath, because that's where most people get stuck in fear in the so and just like a little baby roller coaster, let the in-breath roll over into the out-breath, and then just settling, and then I let that happen again. I also like to let my body receive the breath. So letting my body respond instead of my body going, rigid, I'm doing a job here. I'm receiving the breath. And then change your physical position. Because, we've said for many decades that the quickest way to change your mind is to change your body. And, that keeps getting supported by more science practically every day. And if you're working on something and you get stuck, you've almost always left your body and you've stopped breathing. So this one is a great one to incorporate into when you're working on a project. You're in the middle of a meeting and something gets a little hairy. This is a great place for you to take 3 breaths. And I have found that it's contagious. So if I am breathing wherever I am, other people can feel that and will start resonating with that rather than resonating with the fear and control. So this one is very powerful. And it can be used repeatedly with no ill effects. So that's a great one for presencing. And then connect. Oh, connect is receive communication with an open posture. So I love how often all of our PCPs all kind of go together. So mostly I was just remembering, back in the old days when Gay would start to have a communication with me and he would say, I notice. I didn't realize for a while, but I would go into a cringe, like, oh, what's wrong now? Because I was listening for criticism. And so I would close myself up to not even receiving the communication. And this is a great place to use your but also to let yourself open. So go into your habitual receiving communication posture for a moment. Great, and exaggerate a little bit so other people can see the value of your habit, or particularly your unconscious habit. So if you're very enlightened, like Sabula, you're being very, very much enlightened this morning. So stop that. Get so the way that you get scared, or you another thing I used to do was anticipate. I sort of get out there ahead of the question so that I wouldn't get into trouble. So that, of course, takes a lot of physical energy just even to do it. So now let yourself, what it would be like to open your posture for you. For one of the places that I always look at is shoulders because of computers and devices. So they're almost always curled. So opening, and I like to do a little oozing. This is a great place to use your fear melters because those will open up all of those areas. So, and then I also am looking at, am I giving myself space to breathe, or am I sitting on my breathing so that there's no room to breathe? So that's another place that I open, which you can do even if you're sitting. And then generally, I was just realizing that I had just gripped my toes. So notice if there's any gripping going on in your body, and what would be the opening that you could do instead of gripping. So for me, wheeling. So I go from gripping to wiggling. So almost all of your fear melters are going to be a great way to open your posture, and then also they're going to move energy through you so that you get smarter. You're able to respond. You move out of being reactive. And then, play. This one, if we only did this one, I think it would change humanity, which is go in the direction of the flow. Almost always what we're saying to ourselves is some form of stop it, some form of do this instead, or stop doing that, or what are you doing that for, instead of going with the flow. And I first really learned about this from Gay, because someone would be having some kind of we'd be doing a training or a seminar, and somebody would have a feeling come up, and he would do whatever he needed to do to go with that and see. And it's in the spirit of discovery, because something is emerging that wants your attention. And when it has your attention, you can discover what the learning is, what the message is. But if you're in stop it and controlling it, you just keep reinforcing that you actually can control life and you can control what's happening to you. And that kind of reactivity also takes just a lot of energy, to, push life around. But when you're letting yourself go with, it can help you to find solutions. It's just a really magnificent practice. But when you put all three of these together, whoa. So that's what I want to invite you to play with, is to add one and then the other and then the third. Like if you're going into, like you're meeting family, or you're working on a project, let the three of these be in combination, because they really will give you a different framework, a different environment in which to explore. And it may have all kinds of surprising outcomes for you. So that's me for today. And Gay and I are planning to head off to Maui tomorrow. Yeah, for the first, I can't, it's my first vacation in I think at least 3 years, which is, and I have little, I had just these little blips of, oh my God, oh my God, where, and I didn't remember how to pack and I've been making lists and all that. So my plan is to make a video for you all because I'm going to be 3 hours earlier than my current time. So I'm going to make a video for Michelle to share with you next Monday from Maui. And although I won't be up at 6 o'clock, a version of me will be up at 6 o'clock. So have a wonderful couple of weeks, and please stay on the call as long as you'd like to share. And I'll see you in person in a couple of weeks. Bye now.